direct message from somebody telling me that you wanted me to come in this live. If you don't want me to, just let me know, because I'll just go.
No, that's fine. It's because I did see you in the other live, and I just felt like, because it was an awareness, I assume, on you. And she couldn't.
I think we need to be careful. I think we need to be careful using the word awareness.
No, I'm not, listen, I'm not using that word. I went by her bio.
Right. I'm not, listen, just to set some, if I can just set some ground rules here. Okay. If you don't mind. All right. Because my little boy is next door and I'm a human being. And to be honest with you, I've actually had a really, really bad few months. Not asking for pity. I'm not saying I'm a victim, but I'm actually not particularly open to being attacked and violated anymore. Okay. I can see people commenting and saying disgusting things about me, and I'm already finding that quite difficult. But I would like to just let you know, I've actually had this for 10 years. So when people use the word awareness, it triggers me, actually, because that would indicate that this is new and I've never experienced this. And I've had it for 10 years.
I'm just going by what she had on her
It's not fact. People aren't using facts anymore. And I don't mind talking about facts. I'm very self-aware. I'm very authentic, and I will absolutely answer any questions anybody has where they speak to me like I'm a human, because I am a human being, okay?
Can I ask you a question?
But I'm not going to engage in trolling, and I'm not going to engage in abuse, and I'm not going to engage or respond with things where it's no longer factual and it's slanderous and it's defamatory, okay?
Well, we're not here for that. And as you see, I've turned the comments off. And everyone has muted.
Okay.
So you can, speak. I don't know whether you want to do this, but share what happened, or do you not want to go there?
There's things, obviously, I cut that, like, I'm in a really sticky situation where I'm desperate to give you every detail of every minute of every hour of all of my misdemeanors, because that's the sort of person I am. I overshare, I overconfess, but I can't, because there are 2 gagging orders on me at the moment, one for 5 years and one for 10, which obviously make it slightly difficult. But again, I've managed to have dignity and maintain my truth and my honesty for many years now, because the thing I think most people are most excited about, shall we say, happened 8 years ago. And I think what happens is that people forget about time. Like, they think they're Marty McFly and they read it or they see it online and they feel the feelings as though it happened today. So I'm getting rage and hate as though something happened to them today. But these are strangers on the internet. And the thing that I did didn't happen to them. It happened between me and one other person 8 years ago.
Yeah, but I just think people get the backs up when it's like underage people that's involved. So it's sort of like.
Sorry, say again. Say that bit again.
I understand, like with people like sort of keep mentioning stuff to you as if the thing had happened just like it is yesterday. I think when it involves kids, I think a lot of people have got a lot of anger towards it, and they will probably keep going on about it.
I have 3 children. I have 3 children, actually, myself, who I've never lost custody of. They've always been under my roof. I've got 3 sons who were teenage boys at the time. 2 were teenagers. 1 was just a wee baby. And I understand that. I understand that people have, I think the problem is with emotions and feelings, and I'm an expert in this, like, emotions and feelings are supposed to come from facts. And what we deal with in social media is emotions and feelings come from what people think they believe happened. So you've got people at the moment raging and angry and disgusted at something that they don't really know the facts about. So if there was a way for me to, oh God, it's so hard for me to say the facts without being complacent, dimming it down. all I can say is what happened in June 2016 is not and was not the way people think it was. If it was the way people think it was, right, I have to be really careful here. I would not have kept my sons in my property. Do you understand? If I was the P word, right, I would have gone to prison. I didn't. If I was the P word, my children would not have remained in my care, in my property. Okay. If I was the P word, I would not have been allowed my social media.
So what did you get charged with?
So you didn't go to prison?
I actually can't even, sorry.
So you didn't go to prison?
No, I didn't go to prison, no. I've never been to prison.
So what was the crime that you actually committed though?
Oh God, I've got to be so careful because you've got to remember that TikTok has 13 years. I committed an SO that was described as statutory. When it's described as statutory, that means that it was consensual but still illegal. Okay. Once it was non-violent, and it was once. The other person involved accepted that it was consensual, did not see it as a crime, and requested that it happened again, which I rejected and said no to. They did not report it to anybody. They did not want to comply and engage with any form of investigation. It was my fault. I confessed to somebody about 7 or 8 months later. I confessed. It was me that let the cat out of the bag. And there was no trial because I pled guilty.
What made you let the cat out of the bag when you knew it was illegal?
Oh, you've not. It's very really difficult to. I actually get quite upset when. It's really difficult to explain when you do something really bad, right? Really, really bad. Whether you have an affair with someone, or you steal some money, or you tell a big lie, right? It sits with you, and it eats away at you, and it rots away at you. And I did do some really bad things back then. I never denied it, and it ate away at me. I would wake up in the morning and think about it. I would go to bed at night and I would think about it. Every time a police car went past the house, every time I had a withheld phone call, I would think about it. And I went to my doctor and I asked for counselling. I didn't tell them what I'd done. I thought about it and I was like, oh my God, this is like the worst of the worst of the worst things you could have ever done. Why would you do this, Lucy? You've never done it before. You've never done it since. It's just not your vibe. And it ate away at me and I got very drunk. And I told somebody that I trusted on the 3rd of January 2017, just to like get it out of my mind. And she laughed. And she said, oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also, because I have seen you on your live, you know, and sorry, who's making that noise? Is that you, Linz?
Sorry.
Right. Some people, you know, you don't seem to have, not saying what you did, I mean, you know what you did is wrong. You know, that you didn't seem to have that remorse. I mean, did you not blame the mother?
I know that. I think the thing is, I think the problem is everyone's idea of remorse is subjective. You've got to remember, I'm on TikTok now, 8 years later, right? I'm not going to sit on TikTok and cry, you know? Well, I am now, which is kind of making a dick of myself, but people's idea of remorse, I think a lot of people want, oh God, I've got to be careful what language I use, but remorse to me is what I was in those years ago, which was there were God, I can't say things I did to myself that would show remorse, right? Because I can't say it because it's against guidelines, but I did things to myself that were intense demonstrations of remorse. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I did things to myself. I hurt myself. I can't say it anymore. Do you know? The thing is,
I read the article, and that's something that shocked me, and I can't remember what it was now that they said you had done or said, and I can't remember.
You've got to remember, articles are never going to tell you the truth, love. Right? These newspapers, they make money from the worst of the worst, right? And they make mistakes. They're not even sitting in the court when you get convicted. These people, right? If anybody that believes journalism is facts these days, we've got to be like, hello, my way of showing my remorse back in those days was I hit the gutter, and I was probably I don't know. For me, remorse is a wasted emotion. I work 7 days a week now helping people escape abuse. I don't make a lot of money off it. I'm okay. I'm stable. I'm not on benefits. I own my own home. I contribute to society, and I pay taxes. For me, that's how I show my remorse, right? I could be in a council house now on benefits, whining and whinging and taking drugs, right? But I don't, do I? Right? I'm not that sort of person. I take my mistakes and I go, well, that was a cock up. What do we do next? That's just who I am. And I'm not going to be remorseful now in 2024 for something I did 8 years ago in an open way, right? I'm not going to sit and cry and beg and plead. I'm going to kiss my partner, and I'm going to love my kids, and I'm going to do my lives, and I'm going to have fun, and I'm going to have a good life. Because me now crying and begging, what do I contribute to society? Your version of remorse, what does that offer society?
Can I ask you a quick question? Did you have any contact with the victim? Because that's what he was, the victim, after what happened.
Yes. He contacted me repeatedly afterwards for several months, asking to see me again, which he admitted to the court, and that was read out in court.
Yeah, but I mean, he was still a child, though, wasn't he?
But I said no.
It wasn't no.
Like, did you not realise what the consequences would have been before you'd done this with this boy?
No, I didn't.
But you knew it was illegal, though, didn't? Everyone knows it's illegal.
Yes, I did. I did. Yeah. All I can say is, in terms of responding to that, is that. Have you ever, and I'm not comparing me to anybody, right? Have you ever been so pissed off and upset and vulnerable and victimized yourself that you've said or done something you shouldn't have done? And you've thought, I call it the fuck it button.
Yeah,
and I know my situation
times, but I haven't
is not
slept
the
with an
same.
underage boy.
That sounds a little bit judgmental. I'm trying to answer questions here. Okay. I know you haven't, and that makes you a much stronger person than me, right? It makes you a much more high-level person than me at that time, right? To not go to that point to feel validated and safe, okay? And I admire you for that. But that's where I was at that time. I was very, 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 very promiscuous. I'd never been involved with the police or social services. I had a long career. I was 35 when this incident happened. And up until I was 36, I'd never had any involvement with police or social services. And I think that's really important for people to know, because then people will go, but why then? Rather than judge me, why?
Can I ask
because you don't get people.
I just got one question. Did you not blame the mother for what happened? Because now that's what I read.
I can't talk about that. I can't talk about that for legal reasons.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yes, life. Is that okay?
I'm really sorry.
Sorry, Lucy. Is that okay if I ask?
I'm really sorry. There's things I cannot talk about for legal reasons, and I will absolutely answer any question that I can, but there are things I can't. And the way you phrase that means I can't.
I respect that. I totally respect that. And if you can't answer this question, I absolutely respect that as well. I was just wondering if, because I don't know with clarity whether you had like a relationship with the I don't want to say the word victim, with the
about that.
before. Yeah. So did you have like a relationship with him before the actual event happened, or did it just suddenly happen, or are you not able to talk about that?
I already know that life. I can fill you in if you want.
Oh, can you? Okay.
I think I can talk about that, but I don't want to take the risk. What I will say is it's a mixture of both. And I did actually write a book on this. And, you know, obviously I tried to do it fictional because at the time I was actually still under my police observation when I wrote and released the book on it. The police themselves said it was okay for me to release the book. So because I think what is a more important narrative is, why do women late in life who are professional and intelligent commit non-violent illegal sexual acts? Because I'm not a weirdo in that sense. There is a small layer of women in society who have done what I did, and they all come from the same background. And I wrote a book on it because I want to open the conversation on it rather than judge people, because when we judge people, we forget that we should really be rehabilitating people.
You know, another thing also, I think that, you know, people don't understand, because you're not educating, you're talking about women that have been abused when, you know, with the situation with, well, what happened to that boy, you know what I mean? Who was only 15. Do you know what I mean?
Was that a question?
Do you not feel that you're talking about women that have been abused, but yet, you know, you did...
No, because I always say that I'm different. In fact, I did a video about it on my channel. I always talk about how you have to have a certain recipe of circumstances and experiences for people to do what I did. And my recipe, unfortunately, was perfect. And I mean, my job is to pathologize why people hurt people. And I pathologized myself. And I know exactly why I did what I did. But again, I've got to be so careful to not get myself in trouble and talk about stuff I'm not allowed to legally, okay? I would never say every domestic abuse victim would do this, or every domestic violence victim would do this, or every SA victim would do this. What I will say is there is a pattern of late in life female one-off S offenders who almost always are intelligent and have careers with access to young adults where they have been domestically abused. Social workers, teachers, and so on and so forth. They're not common, but it does happen, and we do all fit a profile. We don't do it again. It's not violent. We regret it. It's not the P word. God, I've got to be so careful here. But anyway, never mind. I wrote a book on it.
Does anyone have any questions?
I was just going to say, like, are you qualified to be like giving advice to all? Because I'm assuming with your content, you get a lot of vulnerable people approaching you.
No.
Are you qualified to do with
I have
these
loads
types
of people. I have loads and loads of people asking for me to give them one-to-one advice. Absolutely. And they ask me based on my lives and my content and my videos. They don't ask me based on qualifications. For a short period of time between July last year and January, February this year, I was indeed a narcissistic abuse recovery coach. I don't coach or therapize or psychotherapize or counsel anybody. I coach people. I stopped doing it January, February because I had some really bad experiences, and to be fair, I needed to take some time out. You don't actually need qualifications to be a coach. And I never, ever promote myself as a therapist, a psychologist. I tell everyone, and I'm quite forceful about it, that I'm a coach. I have 4 years at university qualifications, and I also spent 15 years in the charity sector in relevant roles, with another 4 or 5 years if you want to add on voluntary roles. So I do tick all the boxes for being an expert, but I allow people to come to me and ask me for support and advice. I don't push myself. I don't force myself. If people come to me and go, Lucy, you're going to really be good at helping me with no contact, absolutely. But I don't need to force people to come to me, and I don't rely on it for my income.
Can I ask you another question? Sorry. So are you on the register?
No.
Were you on
Did you get put on it?
I was on the register until October 28th or 29th. Sorry, I can't remember the dates. My mum died around about that time. I was on the register until the end of October 2020.
Is that like 5 years?
And the way, no,
Oh, yeah.
I was on the register. Yes. The way the register works, and I've actually done a video on it. Again, I'm not hiding, I'm not being secretive. The way that the register works is that it's actually just a database of your personal information. It doesn't really operate in any other way. I think a lot of people think that the SOR is something really like a magical kind of place or some sort of like punitive context. It's just a database of your information. If you really wanted to be up to no good, shall we say, when you're on the register, it's very, very, very easy. So it's not actually a thing that stops anybody doing things. It's they hold your bank card details, your passport details, your phone number, your IP address, your email, and your location. If your location changes for 3 days or more, you have to go into a police station and tell them. If you lose a bank card, you have to go in and re-register your bank card. If you lose your passport, you go in. It's a collation of your personal information. That's all it is. If something happens, for example, you get arrested again, it flags. If you break a leg and go to hospital, it flags. It's a database of your personal information. But it does not in any way prohibit or restrict people from doing naughty things or bad things. Sometimes when you're on the SOR, you have what's called what's it called again? Offender management officer. It costs the UK 40 grand a year for you to have one. And what they do is they are instructed with keeping a wee eye on you when you're in the community. So when I was on the SOR for the first year, not the other 2 years, they were allowed to come to my property and check my laptop, check my phone in case there was anything, although there had never been anything associated with any offence. Because like I say, it was confirmed I was not the P word and I kept my kids. But just to tick all the boxes, that was their job. So at 6 o'clock at night, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever, I'd get a chap at the door and they would come in and look at all my technology, and that's fine. I had nothing to hide. So yeah, that's how it really works. Does that answer your question? But I'm not on it anymore. And when you come off the SOR, it's deemed that you are zero risk to society. When you're on it and in the community, it's deemed that you're low to no risk to society.
Right. Okay. Can I ask
Do you also?
Yeah, wow.
You know what you said about DV, people, women that have gone through DV and abuse and all that kind of thing. You said it's quite rare, but I've never heard of.
Can I just ask people to follow me? Because if there's anybody watching this is actually realizing that I'm actually an educated, normal woman who is more than happy to be open and authentic, I'd like you to follow me, please, because the smear campaign that's been happening to me on TikTok, I think most normal, humane people would understand and accept has been fucking disgusting. My children have had death threats. My partner has had death threats. For absolutely nothing, actually, because people aren't actually talking about the truth. People are saying that I am a serial killer. They're comparing me to O.J. Simpson. They're saying that I have relations with my dogs. If I could just point that out. So you're all quite composed and chilled out there, but I don't think many of you really understand what my life has been like. I answered to God, and I answered to a court, and I answered to the police. I don't need to answer to people on TikTok. And I don't think there's anybody in this world that is above God or the police, okay?
Can I just
if I could just point out.
Can I just ask you two questions? One, you said about the DV and the people, women that have gone through abuse and all that, in rare situations, they do tend to, I mean, I've not heard of that.
No.
For some to sleep with a minor.
I know you haven't. I'd actually had never heard of it. It was never in my radar until I did it. And then a documentary maker came to me on LinkedIn and he said, I'm doing a documentary on women like you. And I was like, right, here we go. And he said, I've got 5 or 6 women have been in very similar situations to you. And I want to include you in the documentary. Unfortunately, at the time, there was a newspaper article where I had blabbled on and talked a load of crap, and it was my fault. I was lured into a conversation with a journalist, and I was told it was off the record. And he interviewed me, and we discussed things, and he said, "Oh, I can't use you in the documentary anymore because this looks really bad." And I said, "Well, fair enough. I always look really bad on the internet. Happy days. You know, this is what it is." But we spent quite a lot of time together. He met my children and he spent time in Scotland with me. And he said, I found this group of women who have had abusive relationships, who were SA'd when they were little girls, who were, like I said earlier on, positions of authority. They were not, it wasn't about, oh God, language, Lucy. It wasn't about sexual attraction. Can I say that? It wasn't about sexual attraction, and it wasn't for me. It was about control and safety and validation. And all the other women had done it multiple times with the same person. I didn't. It was just once. I'm not saying, like I say, it's like a recipe for disaster. It's not common, but it's not rare.
But with a minor though.
Yes, that's what he was talking to me about.
Sorry, Linz, did you want to ask a question?
Like you're saying about the crap that you're getting on TikTok, do you not think it's understandable when people know that
Not
you've
crap,
got advantage
darling.
of a 15-year-old boy?
I wouldn't mind if it was 8 years ago, but I think after doing my sentence and repaying and complete, I lost a child. Last time this happened to me, I lost a baby, I lost a pregnancy. I think if we all had the ideology that it's okay to stalk and harass and abuse people because they once did something bad they've already been punished for, I think we would be living in hell.
Well, why don't you come off TikTok? Because obviously, like, everybody knows. And what do you think about the victim's family if they come on TikTok and they see you on there? And
if I could just point,
them, is it?
No, I can't say anything about that, actually. I don't talk about that. Not using those words. I don't want to talk about that. I'm on TikTok to talk about narcissistic personality disorder and my books. So if anybody is coming to TikTok and seeing me talking about that, it's because I've been forced into talking about it to defend myself, or other people are talking about it and I don't want it to happen. I'm only on TikTok to do my job.
Do you not think, though, that some people on TikTok, because it is a 13+ app, might be a little bit, you know what I mean, because you have done that before, that they might feel that the kids are in danger?
I think you would need to have a little bit more intelligence to understand that if somebody was going to do an SO offence and they were a repeat offender, let's pretend I'm a repeat offender, I would have done it long before I was 35 years old, and I would have done it since. And if I was assessed as a risk to do an SO, I wouldn't have kept my little boys in my property, and I wouldn't be working now. I think people have to, unfortunately, accept the fact that I'm not the P word. It was once, it was 8 years ago, and they've got to get over it, really.
How does it?
They have to trust the process.
I don't think people can just get over it. I don't think, but we've trusted police before and SOs have went on to rape and unalive people. So
I'm really sorry. I think that's horrendous, but it's not really for anybody on TikTok to be above the police, though, and to think that they are above it. I don't ask anybody to like me or follow me. I am simply on TikTok doing what I do day after day, right? And just leave me alone. You know, you don't need to follow me. You don't need to engage with me. You need to maybe understand a little bit more about what the P word means and what pathological abuse means. It means that people cannot stop, and they will continue to do it. That's why I'm on TikTok talking about pathological abusers. They've done it their whole lives and they'll never stop. I'm here to just stay in my lane. And I know if people are upset by it who I've never met, I think it's weird. I'm not upset by what other people have done when it's nothing to do with me.
Yeah, but that's just you personally, though. Like, if it's
Not
anything
just
to
me
do with
personally.
kids,
I'm a normal person.
Yeah.
I didn't read about Philip Schofield and go and troll him. I just went,
yeah.
oh dear, Philip.
What
that was
I'm
a
trying to
fuck up.
say is,
But
like,
there's
a lot
people
of
on
people,
social
when
media
it
that read
involves-
about what Philip Schofield did and made his life hell. It's none of your business. It's nobody's business.
Well, I think it is.
You know,
if
if
it's
people are
already,
so
if it's in the
passionately
public domain,
concerned,
and it's the
people are so passionately concerned about crime, go back to university, join the police, join the criminal justice system, become a social worker, get qualifications like me. I am passionate about preventing continued and ongoing narcissistic abuse. I've gone back to university, I've written books, and that's what I do. I have my concerns and I'm changing the world. If people have concerns, trolling someone doesn't actually do anything. It doesn't make a difference, because nobody is gonna make a difference by making my life hell.
So, do
You're
you
not
not
gonna
understand,
make a
like,
difference.
people, there's many parents on this app and there is children that use the app. Do you not understand where their concern and anger comes from, regardless
I understand
if it was
they are concerned
if it was
about
8
the fact
years
that I
ago or
did
20 years
something with
ago.
someone 8 years ago.
Well, then.
But I wouldn't be concerned if because I'm an intelligent woman. If I saw someone online, because there's somebody on TikTok, by the way, that did 14 years in jail. Now that's a life term, right? Why don't you all go after him?
Well, if I find
Why are you
out
going
who it is,
after
I'm
me?
sure.
I've never been in prison. Like,
If you let me
the thing
finish.
is, I understand people being
Carry on,
concerned, but there has to be a point at which that your concerns meet your intelligence level, and you go, right, police have said she's no risk, a court have said she's no risk, social workers have said she's no risk, mental health clinicians have said she's no risk, and she's not committed an offence prior to that or since. Maybe now I should go make my kids dinner.
Lucy, before you do that, can I just ask you just said about mental health there? It just made me think, because obviously you do a lot about like narcissistic, no contact and all that stuff. And I know
mental health. MPD isn't a mental health issue.
Well, okay, but I've been through that. I did that myself in my own life, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So what I wanted to ask you is, like, I guess you must have spoken to some kind of like social worker, psychologist or therapist or something.
You don't need to guess. I spent many years talking to them.
I didn't want to presume, so I'm kind of guessing.
Well, there's a lot of people that are presuming.
Okay, well, I'm not that person. Can I just,
good.
what I was going to ask was, did you actually have any mental health diagnosis as you
No.
went through that processes?
So I once that particular event of 2016 happened, like I say, he wanted to do it again a lot. And harassed me essentially, and I said no, okay, and that was in the court papers, right? I knew, I was like, what the France have you done, Luz? Because this was so out of character for me, and I'd never done anything like this before, ever.
I
And
think
it's
it's
not
a bit
really.
more than out of character when you sleep with an underage boy.
You're sounding a little bit judgy. If you could just be quiet while I answer that
No,
lady's
but
question.
I'm just saying, like, you're saying that he harassed you. I think that's victim blaming.
He did.
Do you know what I mean?
He admitted it to the court that he messaged me multiple times asking to do it again. That's the fact. If you don't like the facts, then maybe you shouldn't be talking to me right now.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If he's
Yeah,
15,
exactly.
he's still a
That's
child.
everything.
So it doesn't make a
Can I
difference if he
just
does
answer-
that.
Ask, but never mind. Right, does
Would
anyone
the other lady like you to answer?
does anyone want any? I forgot the question. So
The other lady asked me a question, and I'm going to ask that question.
Are you life on the edge or Linz?
I keep hearing you like exhaling because you're so tense and stressed. Whoever that woman is, she's really tense and stressed, and she's really triggered. But somebody
Who,
asked
me?
me about mental health assessments and clinicians, and had I been assessed for anything? May I answer that question?
Yeah, that was me, yeah. I asked you that.
Yeah. May I answer that question without the huffing and the puffing in the background, like something out of bloody, Disney Panda or whatever? Can I answer the question?
Yes.
Right. Without the huffing and the puffing and the hitting. So essentially what happened was it was extremely out of character, and I was mortified by it and frightened by it, if I'm honest. I was like, what is this? So I self-referred for a mental health assessment myself. By this point, I was already involved in the criminal justice system, and they sort of jumped on it, even though I'd actually gone myself. So I went to my GP, and I didn't tell them what I'd done, but I told them that I was doing things that were inappropriate and self-harming and antisocial and criminal and wrong. And you can tell I'm very eloquent and I know my stuff, right? I've got qualification in mental health, right? I'd said it the way I could. I was like, basically said it was a cry for help. And they referred me for an assessment. They found indicators of complex PTSD, but not enough for a diagnosis, because I was working and I had the kids and I've got my mortgage. And these days, it's very difficult to get a diagnosis of something wrong with you unless you actually are acting like you're fucked. And I've never really acted like I'm fucked, right? I've always appeared a very stable person, and I've always maintained properties and businesses or the kids and things like that. I've never been, what's the word without being violated or getting a violation? But I've always hidden or managed addictions, right? And at the time, I was riddled. I was chaotic, but I lied, right? And I did manage it very, very well at the time. And I didn't want to lose my kids, because when you go to the GP and you tell them you've done something like that, you'll lose your kids, right? And my kids were and remain my world. So they did an assessment and they said possible complex PTSD, but nothing else. And that was 2016, 2017. I've never been diagnosed with anything. I've never been diagnosed with a personality disorder. I've never been diagnosed with ADHD or anything neurospicy, neurodivergent ever. They say I've got markers, but they say there's not enough. But you've got to be careful that when you're dealing with trauma, and my acting out behaviors are trauma responses, that you will not get diagnosed, because trauma is movable. So you can be traumatized and act an absolute twat like I did, and then the trauma dissipates and you're not going to get a diagnosis, you know? So all I can tell you is, with as much self-awareness as possible, is I am a reactor when I'm in trauma, and promiscuity used to be my go-to method for self-soothing.
Can I ask you something? Because I hear a lot about, how you felt, and, you're a lot about yourself.
I can't talk about him. And do you know what? I wouldn't talk for him. It's not for me to talk for someone else.
Yeah,
I don't think it's for anyone to talk for someone else.
I don't think it's right how, you make out...
Well, you're just going to have to go and hunt him down. You'll have to go and hunt him down
you're
and harass
interrupting
him.
me now.
And get him to speak, because I'm not going to speak for him.
I'm not asking you to speak for him. If you let me finish, I'm not asking you to speak for him. You're not letting me talk. No. So I've had the respect to mute you. What I'm saying is, I don't think it's fair to...
Lucy, to be fair...
This is a psycho.
Hold on a minute, Lindsay. To be fair, Lucy, you are being really condescending to Linz. And I am actually going to have to say that to you. And also, you're coming...
No, that's no problem.
Hold on, I know, please, come up. We've all had the respect to listen to you. You are coming across rather narcissistic as well, which is quite worrying. Which is quite worrying when you're actually trying to advise other people on narcissistic no contact. And I will say it again to you. I have actually been...
Tell me what narcissistic no contact is. I've never heard of that. What's narcissistic no contact?
You said you were a no contact coach, yeah? Basically, if you're in a narcissistic relationship with someone, whether it be a family member, a friend, a partner, whatever it is, yeah? You have to go no contact. Because if you do not go no contact,
ideally, yes.
The trauma
that is the ideal way.
Repeat itself. Now, you advise that. But if you have such narcissistic tendencies yourself, which you are showing.
Why haven't I been diagnosed?
I know you haven't been diagnosed. Well, we'll get to that in a minute as well, because what you said about...
No, we won't get to that, because I've just already described that. I've been for 3 assessments. I don't think you'll ever find... I mean, a narcissist wouldn't come on this live and be so open and exploratory.
But they would. Lucy. They would.
Would they?
They would.
I'm glad that you know
that part. When you said the masking, the high functioning.
They can't. People with narcissism have shame avoidant personality disorder. This type of conversation would have destroyed a narcissist.
No, it would not.
But it doesn't really matter because you're not narc experts, but you want to be Lucy experts.
I'm not trying to say I'm a
carry on.
expert or a narc
Carry on
expert.
analysing.
Telling you what I have.
I mean, I think I've handled myself really well.
How you have come across
in a room full of people analysing me. I've handled myself really well.
But
in a room full of people analysing me and tearing me to shreds about stuff that I don't really need to talk about.
We're not tearing you to shreds.
Really need to talk about
I think we've been really respectful.
You are aware.
None of us have called you any names. We have been really respectful. But I will just go back to another little thing as well. You said that you can only get, a diagnosis for certain mental health if you are acting like you are fucked up. Now, I think that's quite offensive.
No, that's not what I meant. Sorry, let me explain that actually. It's and I'm experiencing this at the moment. I would absolutely love a diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. I would love a diagnosis of neurodiversity or ADHD. I'm a label person. I like the idea of being given a label so that I can work on myself and deal with my shit. Because I know this. I'm not quite your average bear. And I think the majority of people on this planet would never really acknowledge that they're not. And I think people coast through life doing damaging things without even considering that, right?
100%,
my son has autism.
I agree with you that.
My son has autism and it comes through the parent.
Yeah.
So I'd actually love a label and I keep going. I'm actively reaching out to mental health services. But what they have kept saying to me is that I am not chaotic enough. So that's maybe, I probably phrased it in the wrong way. At the moment, funding for mental health services, diagnosis, and so on, isn't for women like me, right? It's for people who genuinely appear to be and or are chaotic and very, very, very unwell, right? And I actually had a referral to an organisation called Tomorrow's Women. And my social worker, when I had one, was adamant I should go to Tomorrow's Women and I would get a CPTSD diagnosis, I would get anger management, and it came back, Lucy is not chaotic enough. And that, so I suppose that was my personal kind of, and I've had that. I've also tried to get personal I've got money, I can afford it. I've got enough money to pay. And I've even gone to private clinicians, but as soon as they hear that you're an ex-offender, they don't want to work with you. They see you as a different entity. But I'm still a woman, I'm still a mom, I'm still a person. It's the mental health, sir. Are you laughing at that? Somebody laughing at that?
No. No one's laughing.
Would you not think that though?
I heard somebody laughing at that.
Said that you said about masking earlier. Do you not think that that's maybe what you're still doing?
No, not now. I do think I masked in the beginning because I was scared of losing my kids. But once I got the conviction, everything was out there, and I just wanted all the help possible. I would even now, even last week, I would do anything now for what I think I still need, which is anger management. I have a lot of grief and a lot of rage and a lot of anger for things that have happened to me through my life, and I don't manage it very well. I really don't. But
and I think
I'm self-aware.
Fair play to you for that, because actually that comes across. Because I've listened to a lot of what you said, obviously, like many people have here. And you said there was a certain group of women in society. And it was really interesting when you laid out what these certain patterns were that had happened in their life and so forth. And I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, actually a lot of those things happened to me in my life. And I'm sure a lot of those things have happened to a lot of people in a lot of lives. I've also been in a lot of positions where I've had young people around me who I have been the power position. And I've also worked in secondary schools where my own daughters were, and their boys in their year would always say things, about your mum or whatever. I wouldn't dream of it. I would not dream of it. I just don't get it. I would not dream of it.
No, you don't get it. And
can I just say something? Sue Willis, do you have any questions? I'll just put her in the box.
There's nothing I can do to help people get it. There's nothing I can do, because I don't expect people to understand why promiscuity is a trauma response. I don't expect people to understand that we don't always have sex with people that we find attractive. Sometimes we have sex when we're looking for physical contact and we're looking for comfort. And when we're an addict and an alcoholic, and we've been through a situation where our abuser made us feel like we were literally not even shit on a shoe, and somebody showed us a little bit of attention and we ran at it, I don't expect anyone to understand that, because as long as I understand it, that's all that matters.
I know, but that does happen to a lot of people, but they don't get confidence sleeping with an underage person. I mean,
maybe they don't get caught.
Can I just finish off what I was trying to say earlier? Sorry, Ange.
The lady from the northeast is bugging me.
Hi, Sue. Do you know
I feel like she's just here to attack me. I do. I feel like she really is.
Hi, Sue. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to
I am
ask a
here of
question.
my own accord, by the way. I'm here of my own accord, and I'm answering questions. I've probably made you about 20, 30,000 more followers. You know, I would rather that people actually saw the fact that I actually, you know, I don't need to be here. I could be like most people on TikTok and keep all my skeletons in the closet and lie. And I could sit behind a fake account, and I don't, right? I don't.
Yeah, hi, Sue.
I've just got it on close.
I'll ask you a question. Is that okay?
Hi, Angie. Yeah, I just want to ask a question. The last time that she was in court for stalking, did you not get another assessment for your mental health then?
No.
For stalking?
No.
Okay. Because you have stalked quite a lot of people, haven't you? In Scotland and in the northeast, and
See, this
right.
is what
Okay. Can I answer that?
which is quite disturbing. You know, when you're trying to help people in mental health,
Can I
and you're
answer
actually
the question?
stalking.
You're ranting. Can I answer the question?
No, I'm not ranting.
Well, can I answer the question?
Absolutely.
I have had 2 Section 39s. One was 2016 and one was very recently indeed for behaviour online in 2022. A Section 39 is indeed a stalking conviction. It is two or more, only 2 pieces of unwanted contact or content online will get you a stalking conviction. In 2016, it was posts on my private Facebook page. In 2022, it was 2 YouTube videos I did.
I'm talking about just recently, in 2024.
Oh, you are, honey. In 2022, I did 2 YouTube videos. I then pled guilty to it on the 5th of March. But the offending behaviour was 2022, and it was 2 YouTube videos, and they were rolled up into what's called a Section 39, which is indeed stalking. Unfortunately, these days, a stalking conviction can absolutely be content online. You don't need to go to that person's house. You don't need to phone them. You don't need to go near them. And people can Google this. It's called a Section 39. Please do Google it.
What about the lady in the northeast that you've just? What about the lady in the northeast that you've just been stalking?
That lady, God, that's a word that I'm not entirely convinced I'll use. As long as she says,
well,
I'm
she is a
stalking
nurse,
her,
so you know she is a nurse, so she is quite high
Emma,
up.
you're saying Emma is a nurse?
Yes, she is a nurse. Well, she was a nurse, yes.
Okay. She doesn't work. She doesn't have a job.
Well, she does.
Sorry?
No, she doesn't have a job, darling.
Yeah, she does, because I do know her.
What I will say is people can say whatever they want about me, but until I'm convicted of it, they're a liar. And you just need to look at her account and you can see she is constantly ranting at me and ranting about me. She's not a stalking victim until I get a conviction. And
No, it's the other way around.
While she continues to post at me, it's very weird for her to say that she's a victim of me. Because if you're a victim of someone, you wouldn't really be posting at or about them on social media, would you?
It's the other way around. There's lots of posts about her on your pages, not the other way around.
Everyone, please, hi folks, please go to my page and have a little look.
It was on your non-contact page. Your non-contact.
I don't have it. I have one TikTok account. It's this one that I'm talking from right now.
You did have another one. It was the non-contact coach.
This lady, I feel sorry for her. If anybody sees any accounts,
I do feel sorry for her. I really do feel sorry for her. You've put her through her paces.
I have one TikTok account. It's this one. If anybody
you did have the non-contact coach. You did have the non-contact coach.
I've never had an account called the non-contact coach. No, I have one TikTok
yes,
account.
You did.
It's this one, non-contact coach.
You did.
No contact. It's
called the non-contact coach, was it?
Or the no-contact coach.
No contact.
Thank you for correcting yourself there. That was
I do apologise.
January. No, you should. I don't have that anymore. But if you could look at that, even then, it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, thank you for correcting yourself that you did have another account.
I had an account called the No Contact Coach. Yeah, this is my only account. I don't have any other TikTok accounts. There are multiple accounts on TikTok. Yes, I had that account called the No Contact Coach.
Thank you for correcting yourself.
Guys, I'm
not calling it the
non-contact
non-contact coach. You were calling it the non-contact coach.
Yes, but you did have another account, so thank you for correcting yourself.
Yes, I have loads of social media accounts, honey.
I say, Lucy, I'm not going to let anyone else in the box, guys. Hi, Hen.
No, I don't think you should, because you're letting absolute weirdos in.
Well,
I'm not a weirdo. I work in mental health.
You're a weirdo. You don't know what you're talking about.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I do.
Hen speak and see what she has to say. Hi, Hen.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Guys, I'm actually going to go. I've not even had my dinner. I've not eaten all day. Unlike the rest of you, I actually kind of have a life.
Yeah,
I'd like to actually go and have my dinner.
Really quick to Hen, just this last lady.
Yeah, please.
Hi, everyone. Please follow me. My name is Thriving Through Hate on TikTok. I have suffered stalking and harassment and abuse most of my life.
And you've also been convicted.
Can we not do
ask you a question?
Sorry, Angie, I've got her affected.
Yeah, sorry, guys. No one turn microphones off because you can't get it back. Can you turn your microphone back on? I can't. Why did you turn the microphone off, guys?
Exactly, I don't understand.
I haven't got the powers.
I'm talking to get information. Do you know what I mean? Don't do that, guys.